Welcome to Mafia Sports Report. My name is Mikey, and today we'll be doing our first mock draft. So what I will do is I'll quickly run through what our positional needs were when we first started the off season. So, and you can go back and look at some of our previous videos. We did offense and defense in two separate videos, but I'll just quickly run through them. So, what we had figured we wanted to do at the very beginning was on offense, we needed a depth quarterback signing, which we then went ahead and signed Kyle Allen. We needed depth or rotational running backs. We signed Damian Harris. We needed wide receiver depth. We went out and signed Hartley, aka formerly Harris, from New Orleans, and Sherfield from the Dolphins. Sherfield comes with a lot of special teams ability as well. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Hartley was a former All Pro returner, which is great, and we can use as a gadget guy. We did release Isaiah McKenzie as well, but Hartley should be able to, figure that one out and pick up that slack. We needed tight end depth. We still have not done anything at tight end. We did lose Tommy Sweeney to the Giants, so we thank him for his service and wish him good luck. On the interior line, which is one of our biggest needs, we needed starter and depth. We went out and we signed Connor McGovern and David Edwards. Both have starter experience. McGovern came in on a 3-year deal, so chances are, and at $7.5 million a year, chances are he's going to start at left guard. Edwards is interesting. He has the right guard and right tackle flex. So be interested to see where he plays. When he was with the Rams, he played right guard. In college, he played right tackle. So it will be interesting to see what happens with him and Bates on who actually gets to start. Offensive tackle, we wanted depth, so we went with David Quessenberry, which we brought back. He's solid depth. I don't think he pushes Spencer Brown for a starting job. I also don't think it will stop us from taking a tackle in the draft if one's sitting there. On the defensive side of the ball, we really haven't done a whole lot. We wanted at the ends, we needed rotational as we lost Shaq Lawson, and Von Miller's still recuperating. At a 3-tech, we lost Jordan Phillips, so we're still missing one there. Ed Oliver's on his last deal. Daquan Jones is on his last deal. Tim Settle's on his last deal. So at the tackles, we don't have a plan going into next year. It's this year, and then everyone else's contract is up. Middle linebacker, we need a starter. We lost Trey Edmonds in free agency. We haven't done anything. We brought back Dodson, who is, as of right now, probably penciled in to be the starter. It's him and Terrell Bernard that are going to be battling for it. Hopefully we do something in the draft for him. Corners, we brought back Dane Jackson and Cam Lewis. Cam Lewis has the flex to play corner or safety. They signed him and they listed him as a corner. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. At safety, we needed a starter and depth as we lost Jaquan Johnson. We weren't sure what's going on with DeMar Hamlin. So all we really had was Micah Hyde. We re-signed Jordan Poyer, which is a fantastic. We got him back on a really good deal. We still need some safety depth. But when you look at it, there's a chance that we move Benford from corner to safety. If that's the case, our safety depth gets a little bit better. I'd like to see us also address it in the draft, as there's some decent safeties, especially depth safeties with possible potential starter down the line in there. And then as a punter, we needed a new starter. We re-signed Sam Martin, which was a great deal. So let's go over and look at the mock draft for this year. It's mock draft 1. This will just be mine. So we went through and we put it through. We're using PFF. I don't so much look at the grades because PFF just doesn't like certain people, it seems like, in here. So they give them weird grades. So I'm just going to go through and tell you what I would do if we were picking at this point. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Let's see who's on the board. So the 4 before us went Clancy, Brees, Kincaid, and Miles Murphy. So when we look at who's on the board, we have Anton Harrison, tackle, Zay Flowers, Will McDonald, Josh Downs, Dewan Jones, Maisie Smith, Dalen Hanley, Cam Smith, Osiris Torrance, who Tommy is a big fan of and wants us to go with him. Steve Avila, Jack Campbell, who I would love to get. If this was the way we would really look at it, and I'm not going to do trade down scenarios today. I'm just going to take who's there. Um, Zay Jones seems like, or Zay Flowers seems like a really good pick, but I'm going to bank that there's going to be a trade and we're going to get DeAndre Hopkins. And I have a feeling we're going to use our third round pick to do it. So I'll make that trade when we get to the third round. So I'm not going to take Flowers here because I don't think we would do that if we took Hawkins. We can look at Harrison, who has that tackle guard flex. Maisie Smith, who is a very big guy. We need that D line, 6'3", 323. He's more of a one tech, which we need because we can put him in as a one tech and then slide, settle the three tech. But, Torrance, he doesn't really fit the archetype from what the Bills like. But at 6'5", 330, he is the best guard in the draft. I don't know if the Bills would take him because he really doesn't fit that archetype. They like the athletic guys who can get out and move. So I'm going to go ahead and take Jack Campbell here, who is my number one linebacker. Seems a little high to take him here. I would prefer if we were going to take a linebacker here, we trade down. Maybe use the first. I've seen some things out on Twitter or possibility the Bills send a first 27 to Arizona and take back their second at 34 and DeAndre Hopkins. It gives the presence that they got a first round pick for him. It's really the value equals out to a third round. We keep the same 6 draft picks and we just move down. If we're going to take the linebacker, it'll be a good situation. So I'm going to take Jack Campbell here, as I think that was one of our most pressing needs is linebacker. And I don't know if he'll be there in the second round. All right, so we're looking here. So when we go back and look, the few that went there, Weipler, who is a fantastic center, but he's center only. Dalen Haney, who was the other linebacker. So there's a chance that Campbell could have been here. So let's see. Nathaniel Dale, Garrett, Carl Brooks, who comes out as an edge, but I think he's going to be a 3 tech. He would be fantastic here. Aika, 6'3", 335, another big 1 tech would be fantastic here. Keanu Benton, who I'm a big fan of. I like Benton's game. He's more of a 3 tech. So it'd be nice to see get another big D lineman. Then you have Jordan Battle, Rashawn Rice. But if we're going to get DeAndre Hopkins, I don't think we're going to take another wide receiver. Derek Hall, edge, 6'3", 254. He's kind of that quick guy that comes off the edge. I could see us going with, I'm going to take Derek Hall here. Maybe I'm not. No, I'm going to take the big guys. And I think I'm going to go with Keanu Benton, who's one of my absolute favorite. He's going to be a 3 tech. And then with our third round pick, we're actually going to trade this. We're going to trade this for DeAndre Hopkins because I really think that trade's going to go through. At least I really hope it does. So we're going to go over to the trade. We're going to say we're going to trade with Arizona. They are going to give us Hopkins. And we are going to give them, and because I'm going to put a third next year, I don't think we would add a third next year, but that's the only way I can get it to go through. Let's see. Get a fourth. Nope. Yeah, so it's just 2/3. Okay, so the Hopkins trade went through. We'll resume. So far, we have taken a linebacker and a D tackle. We've gone all defense. Let's look to see what's out there this time. Ronnie Hickman, a safety. I like him. Um, at Ohio State. Andrew Voorhees. I think ideally this is who I would take here. Andrew Voorhees was going to be a late second, early third pick before he tore his ACL at the combine. Knowing that we're pretty set on the interior for this year, I don't think we're going to add. We can stash him for a year and then bring him back when David Edwards' contract is up, or we need or Bacher's contract is up. So I'm gonna take Andrew Voorhees here. I love that ability. We get him in the fourth. I think that's great. So we had now taken a linebacker, three tech, and a guard. And Ronnie Hickman's still there. We still need the depth at safety. So I'm going to take Ronnie Hickman here. I like that ability. Bring him out there. Let him sit behind Poyer and Hyde, along with Benford behind Poyer and Hyde. I like what we're looking at. And who knows, maybe Hamlin actually does come back. So we're looking through. All right. So here's I think this is our last pick of the draft. We could look at a Stetson Bennett. He's a winner. I don't like the idea of taking another quarterback. We did that a few years back, and it was just a waste of a draft pick. We have Jake Andrews, Charlotte Connor, who I love, but we just took a safety. I'm going to take Will Mallory. He's a tight end out of Miami. 6'4", 240, super athletic. Seems like a great guy you can groom. Maybe starts as tight end 3 to start the year, and because we still have Morris and Knox, and as the year goes, we'll see him get more and more. I'd love to see him end up being tight end 2. So I'm gonna take Mallory here. I really like that pick. I like him. I think we needed another tight end anyways. I don't know if we're gonna have the money to go out into free agency and grab a tight end. So drafting one late will make it a cheap contract, and we need that cheap labor. So when we look at it for our draft, let's see what they gave us from a grade standpoint. They hated the Jack Campbell one at 27, which I wouldn't really. If we took him there, it is what it is. It's cost of doing business. I would like us to move down. The Benton deal, they didn't like that as much. They loved the Voorhees. They really liked the Hickman. They thought the Mallory one was okay. I'm not a big fan of their grades anyways, but that's fine. If we had a draft like this, obviously Hopkins and Campbell are the really big wins here. We get a linebacker who has about the same size as Tremaine Edmonds. He's not as athletic, but he has the size to take away some of those throwing lanes that Edmonds did. D-Hop adds to an explosive offense. Benton is a rotational 3 tech. Voorhees sits on IR this year and then comes back next year with the chance to, try to break into the lineup. Who knows? By that time, maybe Mitch Morris moves on. We move base to center, and then we have a guard to plug and play, which would be awesome. Ronnie Hickman sits in the back, plays some special teams, learns from Hyde and Poyer. And then Mallory, who comes in and brings us another maybe tight end 2. Can't be any worse than what we had with Tommy Sweeney. So there we have it. This is my first mock draft. We'll be doing these periodically throughout the offseason on our way up to the draft. We'll also be doing some live drafts with the chat. So if you get a chance, please, send us a like, subscribe, comment. We love the comments. Tommy's really good at going in and adding all the different comments and responding back to everybody. We appreciate everyone watching, and we'll see you next time. Go Bills.